Welcome to Liberal BFer, where we put the left on check. Today's reality check. The movie Sound of Freedom reaction from the left-wing media is absolutely appalling. The film Sound of Freedom should not be misunderstood as a political or QAnon movie like the left is trying to portray it as. Rolling Stone tweeted, "Review, Sound of Freedom. The QAnon-tinged thriller about child trafficking is designed to appeal to the conscience of a conspiracy-addled boomer." The only logical conclusion to reading this review is that the author cares nothing about saving children. So, a movie about children being exploited is for conspiracy-addled boomers? Really? This review is sickening. Rolling Stone has chosen to put politics over children, something that has become all too common on the left. This review of Sounds of Freedom from Rolling Stone is a stark contrast of their review for a movie that portrayed children in a grown-up manner. Rolling Stone tweeted this about the movie Cuties that aired on Netflix. Thanks to a major marketing mistake, the award-winning French movie Cuties was accused of sexualizing young girls. It's actually a sensitive portrait of growing pains that deserves to be seen. Our review. Here are two similar tweets from the Washington Post. Sound of Freedom, the low-budget film about child trafficking, almost topped the box office on July 4th. A Rolling Stone and the Washington Post for real with this insane and sick review? A low-budget film is what they care to point out about a movie that hopefully sheds a light on the devastating realities so many children in the United States and around the world face. Rolling Stone chose to point out it's a low-budget movie, which of course is a bold-faced lie. This is what the Washington Post thought of the movie Cuties. Perspective. Cuties is an unflinching look at what it means to be a preteen girl. No wonder people can't handle it. All I can say is anyone with love and compassion can see that both Rolling Stone and the Washington Post are on the wrong side of this. Sound of Freedom is, in fact, a biblical film that explores deeper themes.
I don't think I can do this job, Tim. As soon as I lay down, all I see are those kids' faces. How long you been doing this? 12 years. How do you do it?
It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen. It has already passed the illegal arms trade, and soon it's going to pass the drug trade.
Señor Timoteo, tú rescatas niños, ¿verdad? Quizá puedas ayudarme a encontrar a mi hermana.
Imagine walking into a room right now, seeing an empty bed. What will we do?
Shivering stars drift around in the sky.
We're Homeland Security. You know we can't go off rescuing kids in Colombia.
I like all
This job tears you to pieces. This is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
We're talking about extracting an 11-year-old girl from an army of rebels.
Not just her. I'm talking about rescuing hundreds of kids.
She could be a block down the road, or she could be in Moscow, Bangkok, LA.
Over 2 million children a year are being sucked into the deepest recesses of hell. If we do nothing, someday it's gonna reach the likes of you. What if this was your daughter?
Unfortunately, the left-wing media in Hollywood choose to attack it due to its religious undertones and the fact it looks to save our kids from predators. The Rolling Stone writer Miles Klee, who mocked the Sound of Freedom movie, had to lock down his Twitter profile amid backlash. Anyone mocking the Sound of Freedom movie is either part of the problem or part of the problem. Speaking of predators, CNN, the predator of the left, is now demanding no one see Sound of Freedom. They're saying the movie will make you more QAnon somehow.
And you seem pretty familiar with him because he doesn't really hide his association with this real wild plot that involves, drinking the blood of children and things like that.
No, he doesn't hide it at all. And you have a lot of people who are in this world of QAnon who say, oh, they don't know what that is. They've never heard of it. They're just asking questions. With somebody like Jim Caviezel, he is openly embracing it. He's openly using its catchphrases and its concepts. He's speaking at QAnon conventions. And this film is being marketed to either specific QAnon believers or to people who believe all of the same tenets as QAnon, but claim they don't know what it is.
And The Sound of Freedom does focus on a real issue of sex trafficking. But that theme, it's sort of like that kernel of truth that feeds the QAnon conspiracy theory. Tell us how those two things work together.
Sure. And the most durable and the most believable conspiracy theories are not entirely false. There's something in them that is true and the rest of it is false. But the believers point to the one true thing and they say, oh, you don't believe that this particular thing is true. In terms of child trafficking, we know trafficking is real. We know it has real victims. No one is denying that. But these films are created out of moral panics. They're created out of bogus statistics. They're created out of fear. And with something like Sound of Freedom, it specifically is looking at QAnon concepts of these child trafficking rings that are run by the high-level elites, and only people like Tim Ballard and only people like Jim Caviezel, and by extension, only people like the ticket buyer can help bring these trafficking rings down. So there's a very participatory element. You're not just going to see a movie, you're just killing 2 hours on a hot day. You are helping bring down these pedophile rings and save children. Now, it's not true, but it's a very comforting and it's a very warm feeling to have.
Apparently, CNN is terrified of the masses seeing the movie and drawing attention to the fact the United States has the #1 demand for child exploitation material and is in the top 3 for destination countries for children who are trafficked. At its core, Sound of Freedom tells the story of a man who is driven by his faith to risk everything, his career, life, and family, in order to serve others. This powerful narrative showcases the courage, conviction, and resilience that can come from plugging into religious beliefs. However, this message of faith makes the movie controversial to the left. Hollywood has largely shied away from portraying the positive impact of religion, relegating it to taboo status. It is essential for us all to acknowledge that child trafficking is a severe problem in this country and around the world. The lack of action on this issue stems from men being detached from their power source, their faith in God. Instead of addressing this grave issue head-on, there are those who prefer to focus on protecting pronouns, tearing down statues, promoting misleading narratives about police brutality, and rewriting history. Do not let the mainstream media narrative distort your perception. Sound of Freedom transcends politics. Instead, focusing on highlighting our societal decay by illustrating one man's extraordinary efforts inspired by Jesus himself. If you haven't seen the movie yet, I implore you to go out and see it. It's a powerful message that needs to be heard. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments. That's it for today. To help support the channel, please comment, like, share, subscribe, and be sure to check this one out next.